Saturday morning, and I've been just mulling over some stuff in my mind, and I suddenly realised something. Anyway, the thing I've been mulling over for what feels like an eternity is what my drive is now. Like what's the thing that gets me in my stomach, that makes me move forward, and pushes and makes me step out of my comfort zone in order to make things happen. And I feel like I've really kind of lost my focus on that. And then it just occurred to me today. So I've been really aware my whole life, aside from the embarrassment of having CF, I didn't want CF to define me. So as a consequence, the choices I've made have been to not really get involved in the charity work, in a big way, to not actively, I suppose, define myself with CF and anything related to that. And part of the reason for that is I didn't want one to be defined by CF. I want my life to be about me, Debsy, who I am as a person, the choices I make, and all that sort of thing. But and also I don't want sympathy, and it's not actually about me, and so I've kind of really skirted around the edges, and the realization I came to today was, actually, do you know what I really care about is it's not me and how CF affects me that really kind of gets to my gut. There it is. It's the thought that other people with CF have to still, after all this time, since them finding the gene for CF and all the advances and all the research they've done, and the goodness knows how much money they've ploughed into it, and it's certainly not for lack of trying to find a cure for CF. So it's not about a cure for me, and that's the thing. I think it's never been about me, that I really care about. It's the thought that other people have to still face a life and the limitations, potentially, depending on how you look at it, of living with CF, and the impact of that on not just them and their lives, but also on their family and friends' lives. So this past year for me has been, well, a roller coaster would be an understatement. Living with CF has never been easy. My personality is that I've used every challenge as a springboard to find a way to achieve whatever it is I want to do, but in such a way, use it as an opportunity. Now, that's just who I am. And I've now sort of come to the point where, after this year, I've experienced certain things, but it's about what I've seen other people go through that's really been building up inside me. One of my friends, one of the girls that I met while I was in hospital, earlier this year. Let me kind of just go back a step, kind of the experience of being in hospital. When you're in, for me, what I've always experienced is when you're physically in, or when I've been in Fowlis ward, which is always where I've generally been as an adult, it's a very intense experience. And you can only imagine what it feels like. We're young people, anywhere from, I think, typically, it tends to be sort of 18-year-olds and upwards tend to be on the ward. But I mean, I'm one of the older ones on the ward. You know, I've just turned 37. So I'm actually an oldie. So I see a lot of youngsters, and it's agony. It's agony watching these youngsters who maybe haven't had all of the blessings that I've had in life. You know, maybe not had, you know, the family support, because it's really not easy, you know, the symptoms you have of CF, the stuff you have to do every single day of your life, it's unremitting. Like, there's never ever a day where you can't have something CF related, you know, whether it be treatment or whatever it is. You know, I don't know any different from that. That's been my whole life. But I've had certain blessings along the way that have, one, helped me to shape my life the way I have, because I've got such an amazing family who've got such a great mindset and, you know, see the world the way they do. And I've just met some amazing people along the way who, you know, supported and encouraged me. So on the ward, what I see is, you know, so many youngsters who don't even have a fraction of that. And I find it hard, even though I've got the attitude I have, and even though I've got, you know, the support around me that I have, I find it flipping hard. And there are days where it's really tempting to give up because it's just so hard. Now, I find that I can't even imagine the torture of these youngsters who don't even have that kind of support around them. You know, the youngsters who, you know, and I see it all the time, who don't have, or whose genetics, you know, the way that CF affects them is more not advanced, but we all have very different expressions of the CF that we have. You know, I've been very lucky. I say lucky, you know, I know a lot of it is because of the attitude I have and, you know, the way I've taken care of myself, but that's an educational thing, you know, and that's just my personality and how I've chosen, like, the path of my life, if that makes sense. So, you know, these youngsters don't necessarily have, like, that interest in health, or for whatever reason, they don't have that knowledge to help themselves. So, as a consequence, CF is what CF is. You know, it is a genetic condition. Even with the best will in the world, even when you eat right, sleep right, you know, you do everything. And believe me when I tell you, I have done that. You know, and still yet I find myself in this position. My point is, it's agony to watch these youngsters who, it's not just that it reduces someone's life expectancy. You know, it's not just the fact that I've watched so many of my friends and people that I've met whilst I've been in hospital die. You know, I've seen that my whole life. That's what the condition is. But it's the fact that what people don't see is the in-between, is it's not just when you're critically ill. It's the fact that it's a daily challenge. It's a chronic, progressive condition that affects your confidence, because it's, you know, I find it disgusting. The things I do on a daily basis, it takes so much courage to go out into public or be seen by anyone else when you're experiencing what you have to experience. And I won't go into detail, but my point is, you know, it's flipping hard living with a condition. And so getting to the point I'm trying to make here is, I realise what I would like to do, the difference I would like to make is, if I can raise awareness or help to raise awareness and or raise or in some way facilitate the ability to find a cure for this condition, so that other youngsters, you know, so that this becomes one of those conditions that used to be around, but you get born with it, you get a jab or an injection or whatever, you know, and it doesn't impact the rest of your life in the way that it currently does for everyone with CF. And I say everyone because everyone who knows they have cystic fibrosis, whether they choose to recognise it or not, there is a huge huge psychological component, to the condition, to not even knowing you have the condition, even when you're super fit. And believe me, I know that because I have been super fit in the past. But even on my fittest times, when you would never, and I would never even know I had a condition, it was in my head. So CF, when you know you have CF, regardless of how it affects you, it affects you. So my point is, if I could in some way contribute to helping, to making a difference by helping others to not have to have the impact in whatever way of CF on them and on their lives, so that they can, life isn't easy anyway. It's not like I'm giving someone a remedy to them have an easy life, but life's tough enough without then having CF to contend with as well. And I'm not in any way saying that I wish I didn't have CF. I'm not saying that. Yes, I would like to not be in a position right now where, I'm facing, and I'm just going to be honest how I feel, I'm facing the prospect that in order for me to extend my life beyond the next 18 months, 2 years, they're going to have to rip my lungs out and replace them, if I'm lucky enough, and this sounds awful, with someone else's lungs, that has just died in some kind of trauma, That's what I have to look forward to. So that's all very positive and wonderful. I'm so grateful and blessed that I even have that as an option. But my point is, how amazing would it be if others didn't have to face that prospect? And so that's what really gets me. So that's why I've decided. I think I'm now in the place where I'm ready to embrace and use everything I know and everything I've learned to facilitate that, if that makes sense.